Okay, welcome everyone to the December 17th InstructLab community meeting. I'm Kara Delia. I'm on the team with Carol Chin. She is on holiday PTO. Hopefully you all will be taking some holiday PTO as well. Just to get things started, we will, I asked to remind you of our community code of conduct, and that is to generally be awesome to each other. And we use hands, and feel free to use the chat if you feel more inclined. Also, I wanted to start off with anyone new that wanted to introduce themselves. And I'd like to welcome someone as well. I'd love to welcome Santa Maria. If you would like to feel comfortable with that, I'm calling you out. Sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. Hi, I'm Laura. I am just starting at Red Hat yesterday, so I'll be working on some various different parts of the InstructLab community. So, hi. I'm in Austin, by the way, so I probably should say that part.
You said you're in Austin, Laura?
Yep, Austin, Texas.
Okay, I just moved from there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, where'd you
cool?
move to, Justin?
Seguin, which is about 30 minutes outside of San Antonio.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
You pass through there or near there for rack space. So.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So I did want to let everybody know that for the next 2 weeks, we will not be having the community meetings on Tuesdays, and we will start back up on January 7th. And there will not be EMEA or APAC office hours for the next couple of weeks. And I did want to ask JJ, it didn't say here, but I would like to make the assumption that that includes North America, so that there would be no office hours for North America the next couple weeks.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I will say we actually had someone show up to the community office hour last Thursday. Spent 30 minutes with someone with a use case, which was really neat. So people still do show up to them, which is nice.
Good.
But to your point, we should probably officially say no for the next couple weeks.
Okay, so then that's what I'm going to add to this. So North America, EMEA, and APAC office hours will resume on January 9th. Okay, let's see. Also, there won't be any core, formerly the CLI meetings on Thursdays. So starting this week, there will not be a CLI meeting. And the following 2 weeks, again, resuming on January 9th, we will be having, unless someone from the UI meeting chimes in, the UI meeting will still happen tomorrow, but not, I would also make the assumption not the following 2 weeks. So starting back to January 8th. Is anyone from the UI work stream on that can agree with that or dispute? We'll go with it. That's just what's happening. I haven't seen that it's going to be off tomorrow. So I'll be there. So if somebody wants to come, then at least one person will be there. Justin, interactive mode proposal and demo for Mac OS. You wanted to or share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I wanted to do and if nothing else is on the agenda, do a demo and pseudo like a little maybe 7-minute presentation or so. That's okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, well, sweet.
I'm going to stop sharing so you can share.
Okay. Fantastic. Let me share. Well, before I share, I introduce myself just in case I think I've seen most of the names in here, but my name is Justin Hale. I work for Red Hat. I'm specifically a part of the UXD team. My background, this is very important, especially for, because of what I'm going to be suggesting, what I'm going to be showing, is not in development. So I don't have a degree in development or software engineering or anything like that. And so anything I've learned and just self-taught. So there probably be things in here that are wrong, and there may be some things that you may say, maybe isn't technically feasible. But I've tried to I've tried to get past that and tried to make sure that nothing here I'm suggesting is impossible. But nothing's impossible these days. So take that how you may. So I will share my screen here. I'm going to be specifically sharing my CLI. I can't share. You're not allowed to share your screen, is what it says.
Have we done that before,
I've
JJ?
shared before,
Yeah,
though.
I'm working on it. Hang on.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I
We've
thought you
got-
shared before.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's why I'm here.
I'm gonna be specifically sharing my and I think I put in notes that this come from a CLI perspective. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, well, it's interactive mode. So of course we're talking about a CLI. So sweet, let's just hop into it. Once again, I want to thank everybody for just taking the time to let me talk about this redesign of this onboarding experience for InstructLab CLI, specifically targeting Mac OS users, because that's what I'm using. So that's why I say it's specific, but I can see it translated across multiple platforms. Really, the whole goal is to simplify the onboarding process due to like all the manual steps, and ensure users, whether they're novice or advanced, can quickly install, configure, and begin using InstructLab, right, and contributing back upstream, which is our top goals. The current process involves multiple hidden directories, fragmented steps, and to me, user confusion around creating accounts and managing tokens. So my solution introduces an interactive mode that with the hopes of streamlining onboarding to a couple of different categories: prerequisites, installations, configuration, and then model preparation and download, and then obviously using the model. So some of this may seem like significant changes I made along the way, but obviously that's why we're here to present, to make this a little bit more my demo's there. Why is am I writing that right? Am I writing that right? I was just running my demo 2 seconds ago.
You're in the wrong directory.
Oh, thank you. I don't know when I got back into my normal directory because I think it just been open. Hopefully I'm proving when I say I'm not a developer, this proves it. Okay. Why does it keep taking me back to my home directory? Red Hat.
If you type ls, we can see what's in that directory.
I think you are in the directory.
Yeah, you're in that directory, it looks like
Okay.
already.
The
So
one, the
maybe
one
the
you need to
files
be
are
in.
staying
Yeah.
in there?
Oh, because it's in assets. No, it's in scripts. Thanks. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
There we go. Okay. Thanks, everyone. So in this, so like I said, major change previously usually had to install tools a little bit more manually, often piecing together commands and a little bit scattering depending what documentation you're using. I think I went through like 5 different documentations that we found across the internet, whether InstructLab, a couple of blogs, a couple of IBM posts, and everything else. So intro screen tells user, hey, this is exactly what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do. Every step along the way is going to ask them, hey, do they want to confirm so we can keep them engaged and keep them within the CLI. In this case, of course, we want to proceed. So we're going to say yes. And if I need to zoom in some, the first thing I'm showing here and proposing is this, and which is great because I think we've already seen some conversation about it within GitHub is creating a script that does those prereqs for them. This was for me and a couple other colleagues. This was probably one of the hardest parts that took everything up and going. Because if you didn't know how to do it, you had to do a lot of search. You had to do searching to figure out how to do it, and maybe you're doing things wrong. And so created this small script that does everything for us. Obviously, that brew install, that Python and Git. One thing that's not showing here, and I probably didn't put in the code, but suggesting 2 other installs that maybe shouldn't be optional, which is the GitHub CLI install and this VS code. And the reason for this is we can help the user a lot more within the CLI if we can connect their GitHub within the terminal versus having them leave the CLI, go do their cloning and everything else externally, and then coming back and running more code and whatnot. When in reality, we can just do this within our environment. Also put a suggestion of maybe installing VS Code. We know it's one of the most popular things. If somebody doesn't want to do it, we obviously easily have one of the steps to be, hey, you can either not install it or install it. But in our case, using VS Code because it's widely used and trusted. So that prereqs, once the prereqs are knocked out, we started to move into this interactive mode. The first 2 things that are interactive mode will require the user to leave this environment, the CLI specifically. But my goal is to bring them back here so they can always be within here. And one of those ways is this Hugging Face token that they're going to need later on in the download. I know that it can be pseudo security risk storing, but I think technically we can just store this locally so we don't have to worry about the security risk. But essentially, I want them to come in, add their token, so later on in the process we don't have them. They don't have to leave and come back. And so in this case, we're going to add our token. We're going to move on to the next step. This is where that GitHub CLI installation comes in handy, right? Because we can simply run on the back end GitHub off login and allow them to connect everything as needed. This is just a demo, but if anybody's ever been through the process, we know those are the same questions, everything they're asked. The user press enter, brings up their browser, they type in the code that they're given, and everything else is connected. From there, we get to what I'm learning is probably the most important part of everything. It is iLab config init. Obviously, configuring iLab to have everything work. I've had some conversations with a few different people and understanding like why certain things are saved in certain areas, and it seems to be really just for ease of use of updating on the back end. One of the changes I want to propose, I want to push for is one, not having 2 taxonomy directories, but going to one, and 2, moving it from the .local that hidden folder to a more public directory. One of the main reasons I'm kind of proposing just making it one is because I think the novice user and the not super advanced user, with this is more geared towards, won't be worried about having two separate directories. And it also sets up our users to just be ready just to contribute back upstream immediately without the confusion of, oh, do I need to do this in my .local, or do I need to do this in the other taxonomy directory I cloned in my public directory or whatnot. And so in here, for me right now, I'm showing that it's just cloning in our public directory, or whatever the technical name is. But not to leave out our expert users. I do understand that, like, there's reasons why we may want to have two separate directories, maybe for something to fall back on or whatnot. And so, and set up the directory, I've added this option where a user can go in and kind of choose which one they want to do. In our case, we want to do number one. From there, because we have the GitHub CLI installed, everything can automatically run. We can fork and clone those repos. We can remote and connect whatever we need to do, all in one step. Next, we go into the model directory. Same thing, same as the taxonomy, same reasoning. In this case, we're just going to press enter. It's going to configure those things that we need, and we're done with those steps. Next, we move directly into downloading those models, because we obviously did had them import their token up here. They don't have to come back and look for it or type this whole long command or whatnot. Everything is already here stored locally. We've also this entire time kept them within the CLI, and we've only made them leave twice, which was doing the initial Hugging Face creation and the GitHub connection. Those things are downloaded. We automatically list, hey, these are the things that just downloaded, and from there, our setup is complete. So, yeah.
I think this is amazing. I think a good step from here would be to basically copy this output into a GitHub issue and like mark it as an enhancement. Because I'm sure like the script probably is just doing a lot of mocking just to show like the output, right?
Yeah. I can share. And I've actually shared this to I have a repo of it as well.
Cool.
Some of it is real, some of it is fake. Like the GitHub stuff actually works. All the prereq stuff works. I think that's the only script that actually works in here.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how others feel, but I think this is a major improvement over what we have now. Because I agree, like, you have to have a lot of knowledge of what things should be set to currently, and you have to switch back and forth between the README and the CLI to kind of figure out like what your exact inputs and outputs should sort of be. So I think this is a good improvement. I will say the one thing that we're gonna have to figure out, like, how to grapple with this is like, I guess a lot of the steps had yes or no, which I think a lot of people are going to want to put no for some of the GitHub stuff if they're not really into GitHub and they just want to like set up their system and run some stuff with some local data. But I think as long as we keep all the steps optional, except for, of course, like creating your config, and I think the Hugging Face token is also pretty important. I think that this looks really good.
Yeah, and I think for GitHub, I even put, I think I just added it. Maybe I didn't update it. Oh yeah, I do have skips for some of these as well. And I know, like you said, some of we have to go back and look at what's the right yes or no, just what's the easiest way to start.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is great though. Thank you.
Appreciate it. But hopefully that all makes sense. Like I said, my whole goal is to kind of address some of those major pain points, like the hidden directories and token setup interruptions and the manual GitHub configuration. So the entire goal is to make the flow more user-friendly while still having some flexibility for advanced users. And then the other nice part about some of this is it's set up to simplify getting everyone ready to contribute back upstream, right? So which is what we also want people doing. So happy to answer any questions, and thank you all.
Great job, Justin. Let's see. I feel like somebody, Maria and Missy, skills contribution experience.
Thanks. Well, at least I do. I need sharing permissions as well, please. Ooh, thank you. Okay, so Missy and I are going to walk you through the skills contribution experience. For those that don't know, Missy and myself are part of the UXD team here at Red Hat, and we've been working on making a better experience with InstructLab for contributing knowledge and skills. So today we have some skills UI prototypes to walk through. Feel free to raise your hand during any portion of us going through here to ask questions or provide comments. I'm also losing my voice because I woke up with a sore throat today, so I apologize if my voice starts to crack or anything like that. I'm trying. There we go. Should be that one. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so welcome to our first screen. So this is assuming that the user has gone through the first steps of the InstructLab. They've selected contribute, and they're now contributing a skill. So the first screen that they're going to see is details contribution. So in the details screen, they're going to be providing their contributor name as well as the email, making it very clear to them that they need to make sure that the email they're using is associated with their Git repo. And then if they have any additional contributors or reviewers that need to go through the process after them, they can add additional contributors here, which will provide a notification to that contributor that they've been added to this. Additionally, throughout the screens, if they have an area where they need to save a draft or they're submitting for the next contributor, then that next contributor will be able to come in and update any of the details that are left over from the initial contributor. Down here for the skill information, they're going to be selecting which type of skill it is that they're going to be contributing. And depending on the skill type that they select, they'll have the appropriate fields within the screen and the following screens. So in this case, someone's selecting a grounded skill, and they're going to have a submission summary, which must be less than 60 characters. And then they're going to make a taxonomy directory path selection as well. At this point, once they fill in all the information, they're going to get a next button, or they can get a save as draft. On the next screen, this is where they're going to start creating their sample data. In this case, they are going to need a minimum of 5 examples. I know there's only 4 shown here. The 5th one is just below the screen. We do have a scroll bar that would show up so that the user would be able to scroll through all their examples and review them. And since this page could get a little bit long, we did put the samples into their own hide and show areas as well. So each sample would have a question and answer pair along with the context. In most cases, the context for the question and answer pair may be optional, and we let them know that as well. So once they've gone through and filled out a question, answer, and context for each of the samples, then they would have the next button be able for them to click through. And at any point, they can save a draft as well and come back to this, or the other contributor that they've notated will be able to come back in as well. On our attributions section, we have 3 different types of contexts here. In one case, this context here this is perfectly fine. There's no warnings or anything, but we are still presenting them with the information in this context if they did want to go through and edit any of the information. This is assuming any of the documents that they uploaded is pulling in this context from those documents. So if for some reason something doesn't get pulled through or something is wrong, they're going to be presented with a warning icon that lets them know that you need to check this out. You need to create an edit in here. So in this case, context 3 does have a warning label. The author's name wasn't pulled through, so they would click edit, and then they'd be able to add in the correct author name in this case. Once everything is good to go, the next button will show up for them, and they will come to the review screen. The review screen right now may be getting a little bit long, and there's a few things that we might want to do to help this, but in this case, we're reviewing the contributors that we added, the skill information, and then all of our samples. So in this case, I only have sample 1 showing above the fold, but there will be all 5 samples available for the user to view. And this is one of those areas that we're getting into questions about what is the best way to provide these samples for review to the user, knowing that this information, if there's context pairs for each question and answer, is going to get very long. Would it make sense to have kind of the same collapsible instances that we had for the samples themselves, where this information is kind of hidden and we require the user to just open them, close them? Would that make them still be able to go through them and review them? Or what if they were cards that you needed to shift through? So there's a few different things that we're working through. If anybody has any input on what they feel might be a good experience for them to review all this sample information, that would be great. Otherwise, this would be the last page. Once they review everything, they would go ahead and submit. By default, the submit button is already going to be activated for them. So there's no extra steps that they need to take on this page to activate that submit step. Once they do submit, it's either going to go to the next person in line or the triage individual who's assigned to this. Again, they can also save as draft if they want to come back to this information. And that is what we have for you today. Does anybody have any comments, questions, input?
So this is Missy Johnson, and I'm part of the InstructLab UI team. So we did have a question, if y'all have any input about that second step, what that name should be. So this, for the UI, this is more for a, we're kind of focusing this on a more non-technical SME type of user. So they might not necessarily have a whole lot of AI background and knowledge. That second step used to be, I think, create Q&A pairs.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had it titled create training data. As you see now, we have it as create sample data. We would just love to hear input of, what is the appropriate term there, especially if this is going to be for someone who does not necessarily have that AI background or a data scientist. Charlie?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a technical term for this. I think some of the SDG team might know better there. I would opt personally for calling it create question and answer pairs rather than sample data. To me, sample data kind of sounds like it's going to be thrown away, which isn't necessarily true. So I would opt more towards the Q&A verbiage that you had previously. I don't know if others have opinions on this.
Laura?
I do, but I don't know if I'm supposed to wait till I'm called on, but I think the thing that I would get confused with as a random user coming on is I would want to know why, if I'm creating a skill, this questions and answers. Because that doesn't quite make sense to me. Because it's one thing if it's knowledge, because I get like, okay, it's going to be asking questions and answers. But if it's like, I need you to do something, why am I setting up questions? Does that make sense? Okay. So I also don't know what the right word would be here. I need to think about that. but I think just generally like the question idea, it's more like you're asking me like, what's the command and what would the answer be, right?
Mhm.
So, well, because the examples that we're giving in, you're teaching it how to do something. Write me a song, rearrange words in a sentence, summarize an email, which to me would be statements like commanding it to do something. So that's my thought.
So you feel like we need to either change the label for where we have question or provide a little bit more directions on how to word that question so it becomes more of a command?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it's
Okay.
more that if I saw create question and answer pairs as like a step, I might get a little bit confused thinking I'm in the wrong section.
Okay.
So that's my only thought.
Yeah, that's fair. Thank you. Called?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so we could say create seed data, seed as an SEED. That's how we refer to this entity in code, I guess. And I guess it would be good to have kind of a universal nomenclature on this stuff as well. We can also have like a little paragraph or something like elaborating that like, oh, the seed data is we use this to base we use this to come up with similar question answer pairs that we might want to train the model on or something. And we can elaborate on that to whatever extent you think is appropriate for the user to know at this point.
Yeah, so my only concern with seed data is I am not an AI expert. And when I Googled seed data, there's definition, when I actually Googled seed data in AI, it returned like 3 different definitions of what that was. So one of them was talking about generating random numbers for creating images or something. And then another one used it to mean something different. So I felt like if I got confused as kind of a novice, non-technical user, I think that might have been confusing, but we can test that definitely. But I agree. I like the idea that seed, someone had wrote in the chat that seed seemed more permanent than sample. So maybe there's another term that has that concept of it being.
So seed data isn't like it's not like a industry specific term or anything. It's just what we refer to those things in code as. And so my reasoning, I guess, is I think we could maybe present it in such a way that it maybe implies that it's not really like create your seed data, for example, and then just having like a little blurb underneath, like kind of elaborating what it's for, removes the need for like people to think, oh, like am I missing out? Is this an AI specific thing? Maybe I need to Google this, etc., etc. But that's just my 2 cents on it. And
No, definitely. I appreciate that. And we'll definitely retest that with users to see what they think about that as well. It's good feedback.
Yeah, I'll think about it, Missy. I like all the options that we thought of today.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely the step name that we're having the most discussion around.
Is this currently staged, or are you guys just working on this in a local copy?
So this is just Figma mockups. Brett is planning on working on this during our shutdown. I don't know why, but he is.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so that's why we kind of jumped onto this skills contribution, because I didn't want to hold him up.
Okay, cool.
And whatever we decide here, we will carry that over to the knowledge document as well, the knowledge contribution flow.
Okay, awesome.
Any other thoughts or questions?
I guess just while we have it open, Missy, it should probably say Q, like ampersand A pair. The last sentence.
Yeah, we'll definitely change that. We also got feedback in one of our sessions the other day that we probably need to spell that out at least once prominently somewhere. And then we can use the abbreviation further down.
Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to bring up or add to the agenda? That was our last piece. If not, then I bid you a good day and happy 2025.
Thanks, Kara.
Thanks,
Been a
everyone.
crazy year.
Have a great new year,
Thank you.
everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Ta-ta.